Hey guys, welcome back to another Redstone video. Today I'm going to show you how you can make a bedrock glass wither cage that you can use to break all kinds of blocks. For the showcase I designed a little cobble farm so we can see the wither cage in action. So here we got the wither. He's basically trapped on top of that obsidian block. The wither is 3.5 blocks high, but because there are walls around the wither, he can't get through the gap. And on top of the wither we have a boat that prevents him from flying up. I couldn't put a block, for example, on top of the wither, like a slab, something similar, because the wither would then break that slab as well. So we need an entity on top of the wither because there is block breaking action every time he's getting hit by a snowball would break that slab. So that's why we have to use the boats. The boat also can't be moved to the side because it's surrounded by more walls. So basically we have 8 boats stacked on top of each other, and at the top we put a block on that, so that also prevents that the boats could be lifted up. So the wizard is perfectly trapped in there, and as long as you don't make a mistake, he will stay inside of that wizard cage. Right, then I already mentioned the snowball dispenser that we use in order to damage the wizard, so you need to make some snowballs for this farm to work, and we push in blocks from 2 sides every 30 ticks. That's how fast stone generates. So in total we break 24 blocks per snowball, and this farm would produce around 55,000 cobble per hour. Here we can also see the wizard cage without the cobble farm, so I can see it a little bit better. One of the trickiest part is actually the item collection and getting those minecarts in there. But it is possible to collect all the items. So item that would land here on top of the fence gate would be collected by the hopper minecarts on the side. Under the slab I was actually able to put in a minecart before I summoned in the wizard without it getting destroyed. And here we can actually put minecarts inside of the fence gates to prevent the wizard from flying out. If you would accidentally click on a fence gate, I really don't want to do that now, the wizard would escape immediately. So he always tries to fly towards the villager on the left, the main head, while the side heads are tracking the village on the right. So those fence gates are super important, and that's a bit, that's the dangerous part really. In case you would accidentally open one of those, then you could escape. I tried to use other blocks instead, but the fence gate seems to be perfect, since you can't really glitch the minecart in a wall afterwards. But once the wizard cage is completely set up, also with the item collection at the bottom, there's really no danger of it breaking again, since there's no point in going close to it again. Right, so this wizard cage works quite similar to the wizard rose farm I showed last week. The main difference is that we can't use obsidian blocks to contain the wizard, because we actually use the block breaking attack by the wizard, where he breaks blocks in a 3x3 and 4 high volume of blocks around him. So I couldn't use obsidian to contain the wizard somehow, since if you actually use the block breaking attack, those would also be just broken. That's why we had to use this fence solution and the boat on top in order to contain the wizard without actually using blocks that he could break. The wizard cage also works similar to the wizard rose farm from last week, in the aspect that the wizard would lose its target if you restart the server or leave your single player world. So in order to deal with that little problem, you have to give the wizard eye contact with the villager on the left before we leave the server immediately. That's a bit of a problem because you can shoot skulls, blue skulls, at the villager on the left. There's a 1 in a 1000 chance that one of the skulls he shoots is a blue one instead of a black one. That would mean he could break some of the blocks here with the blue skull, which is not a big deal really, because you can replace those later. So it's really just a small chance that this happens, and if it happens you can deal with it. But you basically need to open this trapdoor real quick before you leave the server, and then once you join back in, close it immediately again, because that gave the wizard enough time to track the villager on the left again, and then he stops shooting skulls, which is the whole point of it. In case you forget to do that, or you get surprised by a server restart, then you can also press a button that would reset the whole system. Because if you would forget to do that, then you would track the villager on the right, and it's also able to shoot skulls. It's basically the same issue. Could also break blocks on the right side. The chance is just really small. In case that happens, then with this button here, we send the villager on the right away. Then he tracks the villager on the left. This trapdoor is also now opened again. And then we close it again. The villager on the right is back, and the side heads shoot at that village again. The side heads always shoot the black skulls that don't do any damage. They basically just get shot into the obsidian. That's it. So that's not a problem that they shoot skulls. It would only be a problem if the main head shoots skulls. Then once again, in case of wondering about the boats on top of the wizard, so we use 8 boats, so they're perfectly aligned with a block on top. So if I open the F3 menu, you can see the height value. As you can see, if I stand on top of those boats exactly at 20.000, so if I would now put a block on top of that, then the wizard can't move this up just a millimeter, so that you can't move it all. That's why I have to use 8 boats. If you would, for example, only use 7, you can see then it's 19.4375, so there's really not a block that I could now put on top of this in order to prevent any movement at all. That's why we use 8 boats. For some reason it's also necessary that the boats are perfectly placed on top of each other, so just hand placing them and letting them drop down for some reason seems to not be sufficient. So that's why I came up with this little contraption here that places the boat always in the exact same position in the middle of the block using a dispenser. Right, so we just dispense some water, suck it back in, and then dispense a boat on top of that. But the water dispenses before the boat can even have contact and is therefore also not moved by the water. So I can quickly press the button, we can see, there we go. Boat is placed on top of that and just drops down, always perfectly in the center of the block. By the way, it will also be possible to combine this wither cage with the wither rose farm, so you can have a cobble farm and wither rose farm in one. The side heads are still shooting black skulls, and if they kill, for example, zombies, endermen, zombie pigmen, then you also get wither roses. So this is just an idea what you can also do. Alright, so getting the wither in there is a bit tricky. I'll do a tutorial on that, definitely want one. Alright, so now let's make the wither cage. Unfortunately, the wither cage is directional because of the way the minecarts work. To get them placed like this, you can only do this if you would put the villagers on the north and south side. So as you can see, we're facing south. One of the villagers is in the south, the other one is in the north. Doesn't really matter which direction the main head is tracking. One of the villagers are on the side, but they need to be north and south because otherwise the minecart placement wouldn't work. Alright, let's start over there. So we got a 5x3 platform of hoppers. One of the first things we need to do is put a hopper minecart inside of the slab that the wizard would later stand on. So we're gonna place down a hopper minecart, break the rail, put the slab here, and I'm gonna use a zero tick to put in the slab. So we need a sticky piston, place a button on top, and that's how you can move in the slab without moving the minecart. Right, that's good. Now let's get some fence gates, place it around the slab like this. And then you also need to waterlock the slab, otherwise the minecart could get destroyed. And it's not really possible to get the minecart in afterwards, since the wizard is standing on top of that block. So it's definitely a good idea to do this now. Right, then we can continue with the obsidian shield, both sides. Here we're gonna leave a gap for the snowball dispenser, then another hole for the wizard to track the villagers. Here I'm just gonna place down some obsidian to contain the items. For your cobble farm, for example, you could also hook up a tree farm, all kinds of farms if we need to break blocks. Now on the other side, we only need the gap for the wizard to track the villager, and also obsidian here on the side. So obsidian also will not be blown up by the initial explosion. Right, then let's do the holding cells for the villagers. Here I'm gonna put the villager that the main head is tracking on the left side, so we need to go out 4 blocks. Just gonna use some temporary ones here, and then place some obsidian again. So 5-6 shield in case you ever get a blue skull. It doesn't kill the villager, that's why Make this little shield. Also 5 blocks here on top. Then you want to get some slabs. With a higher blast resistance, of course. So stone slabs would work. And place 2 rows like this. Then let's get an iron trapdoor. Place it facing towards this side. So like this. Alright, then let's do the same on the other side, but let's go out 5 blocks. So the village on the right is a bit further away than the one on the left. So this is important after the restart that the mainnet is tracking the villager is closer. So 5 blocks out and then actually do the same. So 5, 6 shield, blocks on top. Slabs here. Iron trapdoor. Also facing this way, so if you would now power this, it would basically block the vision. Alright, then slabs again. Then we need to place the villager on top of this block here. So here I'm just gonna put down a powered rail. Here on this side we also need to go out about 30 blocks, so we can move the villager away. Block here in the back. Then get your villager, put him in a minecart, and drive him on top of this rail. Okay, I'm just gonna go out a little bit. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here we can power it. Okay, let's get the villager in. Alright. And then we need to go out a bit more. Okay, now we got 2 unpowered, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Redstone block, and then 8 more. And then a block that can be powered, so the minecart also returns. Alright, now we also need a villager on the other side. Don't need to get that one in the minecart, but that's also no problem if he's in the minecart. Okay, I'm also gonna just place some blocks around, so he can't get moved at all. Okay, alright, so next we wanna get the boats in place. First we need a slab to put the boats on top, so we go up 1, 2, 3 blocks and place a slab right there. Okay, then around the slab, gonna place walls like this. And in total this needs to be 5 high. 5. Okay, here we're gonna keep 1 block open. Then let's also get a sign, contain the water, and place it here at the 4th block. Then we need a dispenser. So like this. And then let's get a downwards facing observer on top of that. Button on top. Sticky piston. And another observer. And here a downwards facing dispenser. Alright, then get a water bucket, put it into the dispenser. And boats for the other dispenser. Alright, then we need to activate this in total 8 times and let the boats drop down. Okay, there we go. Now we also need to add some switches for those trapdoors. So just at the bottom of the middle one, gonna place a block and a redstone torch on top, and then a lever on the side, so we can turn it on and off. Okay, we're gonna keep it like that. Same on the other side. And now we need to build some walkways. So we basically now need to summon in the wizard. but he is not supposed to track any of the villagers yet, because we need to let the boats drop down. We need to do this after the initial explosion, otherwise they could get destroyed. So that's really the tricky part now, and I have to be quick about everything. I'm gonna place down some obsidian blocks here to contain the water, because the slab on top is gonna get waterlogged. And some obsidian walkways that don't get destroyed with initial explosion here on the side. So we can access this lever here and there. So I basically wanna drop down the boats and then immediately open the trapdoor here on the left. And close it again after a second or so. And then open the one on the right. Alright, so let's do this. I'm gonna go to survival mode. So you can see this is normal, also mob griefing should be true now. Yeah, already tried it once, that's why my health is so low. Let me actually quickly fix that. Alright, so now let's do this. It's gonna be a bit tricky. You might want to practice this in creative first. I'm gonna leave a world download in the video description. Alright, but what we essentially need to do is summon in the wither. So we're gonna place soul sand like this. And 2 skulls. Once you place the last wither skull, you want to waterlog that slab. Then run away, wait for the initial explosion. Once the wither is fully summoned in, you want to hide behind the obsidian here, get the water back from the slabs, and then break the slab with a pickaxe. Alright, now let's do this. I almost forgot to waterlog it. Okay, I'm gonna hide here. Wait for the initial explosion. Get the bucket ready. The pickaxe right next to it. Okay, let's grab this. Break it. The boats drop down. Perfect. Wizard got me. I can't really reach the lever now. Or can I? Let's see if you can salvage this. Okay, it's now supposed to track this villager. Perfect. Then let's close this again and just open the other one on this side. You have to be quick about this as well. But I think I got it. Okay, let's fly it back up there. So now the wizard is fully in place. So this worked. Not great because I fell down, but apart from that, yeah. The main hit is tracking the village on the left, side hits are tracking this one, and he's now inside of the wizard cage. Now you're also safe, go close to the wizard, so he will keep tracking the villagers instead of tracking you. Okay, so one of the next things you also want to do is place a block on top of the boats, like I mentioned earlier. Let me actually go back to creative. So yeah, now you're actually safe in survival mode, unless you unload this. But you want to place a boat now on top, a block now on top, just to make sure the boats can't move an inch. And now we can continue with getting in the minecarts at the bottom. Okay, this is gonna be a bit tricky. So first we need some rails. And some extra block here, so we need a rail facing this way. This side as well. And on the other side. Okay, get in the hopper minecarts. Can also break those rails afterwards. There we go. Alright, so now let's get in the minecarts into those fence gates. At the moment, the fence gates here on the east and west side are not really important because the wizard is now trying to fly towards that villager. So we actually only need this fence gate at the moment. I would definitely recommend to have fence gates on all 4 sides. Alright, then important, first remove the water from the waterlogged slab. Otherwise the minecart inside of it would get flushed out and it would be quite an issue to get this minecart back in, so it's important. Then we can remove the fence gate. Let's place some rails now. Get a block ready that you can place behind you and get that minecart in. It's a bit tricky since the one in the middle tries to push it out. Okay, let's get the minecart and be careful that you don't move the other two. Jump back out. Okay, now the other side. It's gonna be even a bit trickier because now I have 2 minecarts pushing the other one out. So what we want to do is put down a block here and a rail. And then another block there. Get a hopper minecart. Or a normal minecart actually. Put it here and the other hopper minecart there. So that's gonna be the important one here. Okay, then we want to get a block. They can be pushed down. And let's get a piston. Push everything down. So like this. Now this hopper minecart is safely contained in there. We can remove that one and everything below. Okay, now we just need to get those fence gates back in. So for that, we want to get a sticky piston activated to pull up the rail. And get the fence gate back in. And also do this on the other side. And fence gate. Yeah, careful that you don't move the minecarts now, since there's no rail anymore to support them. Oh boy. I messed it up at the last step in creative. Okay, I got the wizard back in, everything is back to normal, so be careful to not hit the wizard. It's actually important. Okay, so it should look like this. The last thing I want to add is the reset mechanism, so a little bit of redstone for the server restart if you log out. Okay, so the redstone is really simple, basically just need a button, a bit of redstone wire and a pulse extender. Okay, so here we're gonna put down a button, wire it up to power this golden rail there. And then we're also gonna send a signal over to this side. To put an input into this block there. Okay, here we're gonna put down a repeater block. I need total 6 comparators for the pulse extender. Put down redstone dust here and there. And here just another repeater. And now it's already wired up. Okay, so in case the wizard after server restart is tracking the wrong villager, press the button and this will reset it. Alright, now we just need a dispenser right there. That would trigger the wizard block breaking attack, and then of course some kind of farm that would produce the blocks. So ideas are quite a lot: cobble farm, tree farm, giant mushroom farm, concrete powder to concrete converter. There's all kinds of things you can now use the wizard to break those blocks for. One more thing, in case you want to use arrows instead of snowballs, that's also a possibility, but you probably need to slow down your farm a little bit. When I tested this the last time, you could only shoot an arrow every 40 ticks, otherwise you would damage him too much. Right, otherwise you could use snowballs for the dispenser. I'm not quite sure if a suffocation system is possible, like with the old bedrock cages, where you would zero tick in a block into the wizard's eye height and pull it back out. I could imagine that it is possible. You probably would need to sacrifice one of the sides, which would slow down your farm, but I think it could be possible. That's also an option, to make a system that doesn't use any snowballs or arrows in order to damage the wizard. Maybe I'll give it a shot, but getting the snowballs is not really a big deal. Put a snowman right next to it and just farm some snowballs before you want to use the farm. So per snowball you get up to 24 blocks with the system. Next week I also want to make a tutorial video just for the cobble farm for this wizard cage, then maybe also more farms that would work with it. But that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.